So hopefully you've been watching the previous episodes. Today we're going to wrap up the Suzuki service. I hope you watched the oil change, the gear oil, the water pump, and the spark plugs. Today we're going to wrap up
the fuel system. So there's 2 filters on this particular application, and we're going to inspect the engine one first and then move on to the boat filter.
Okay, now we're going to change the fuel filter on the motor. It has a water sensor incorporated in this filter. I have to use a pick to get the lock off of it so we can take the filter housing off. So in this particular filter, we're having an issue trying to remove it. So I'm going to remove the housing so I can literally use both hands and twist it off. This way we don't break anything, and I can inspect the filter and check for metal or debris. Now when you pull this off, it's going to be full of fuel, so you try not to spill the fuel all over the boat. David, would you do me a favor? Would you dump the fuel and the fuel filter out, please? And inspect the cup for dirt and debris.
Oh.
Looks like she got some time. Oh, look at there.
Got a little something there.
Like what we found here, a little debris. So in this filter, we actually found some contaminants. It's a small piece of aluminum. It's very common when you have a new boat. We find this all the time on new boats. This is why on 20-hour services, I actually replace fuel filters, and you should too. Now we've got this clean, we have our new fuel filter. We're going to install it. I like to put a little grease on the threads so we don't have to fight it off and on every time. I also put a little on my O-ring to protect it. My assistant here keeps me supplied with rags and grease. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, fine sir. Thank you. So now we're going to reinstall our fuel filter onto the block. The blue connector is actually for your water and fuel sensor, so we want to make sure we reconnect this. Now I'm going to find my primer bulb. I'm going to prime the fuel system so I can put fuel in here. The reason I do that, so I can check around here for leaks. If we have any leaks, we want to fix it now before we give this boat back to the client. Okay, it's firm now. I'm checking around the filter. I notice there's no leaks. That is good. Now we're going to replace our fuel filter inside the boat, fuel filter / water separator.
So sometimes these filters tend to stick. Some technicians or people don't put grease on them, on the O-ring, over tighten.
Use your oil filter wrench, or I have a large set of channel locks I'll use. And if measures get very extreme, I will poke a hole with a screwdriver and try to crank it off that way. Another useful tip. If you own a boat and you have fuel cutoff valves, shut them off before you pull this filter off, because they always leak fuel. You should have a bowl or something underneath it if you can fit it underneath the filter. This one I cannot fit one in. David's going to fill the filter up for us. We always like to prime them first so that our client doesn't have to worry about it. I have had clients leave the dock, not prime them, and run out of fuel and have to reprime them. Not a happy client. So now we fill all filters. That's Rec 90, by the way. Little grease on it?
Oh man.
Bruh, you know how it is, bruh.
You in the grease.
We're gonna grease it. It's always best. Lovely. I only put them on hand tight. That way I can remove them on the next service. Sometimes if you get them too tight and you try to remove them, the whole filter housing will come off the boat. Then you'll have to be repairing holes. We don't like that.
So after everything's all installed, it won't hurt to go squeeze the primer ball a couple times, just to make sure you got no leaks and everything's
And then we'll
looking
test
good.
fire the motor.
Yep. Once we fire it up, we look for a good stream of water coming out, and
No, I just want to say, I really like these Suzuki tune-up kits. They come with everything you need.
yeah.
All you have to do is add a little oil, motor oil and gear oil.
Yeah.
And this is complete. I prefer it over everything else.
Good for you do-it-yourselfers out there. All right, now that we wrapped up our service, we really hope this helps you out. Until next time, take care.
See you then.
Yeah.